Good afternoon, Mr. Samar Banerjee, sir. Thanks a lot for accepting our kind invitation, sir, for coming in today and sharing your wisdom and your experience specifically in the world of Industry 5.0, sir. Thanks a lot for accepting the invitation, sir.
Thank you, Pratik. It's my pleasure.
And just to kind of let people know about Mr. Banerjee. Mr. Banerjee is the chief HR officer of a large enterprise specifically focused in cement industry, Star Cement, which happens to be one of the largest, specifically in Eastern India, is one of the largest cement manufacturing company. Mr. Banerjee also brings in over 2.5 decades worth of experience. So a lot of years of experience here, and you have worked with multiple different types of companies and industries. Sir, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you in the discussion today, sir. So, since our session, sir, Mr. Banerjee is about 5.0, and sir, you have
Yeah,
spent a lot of time in this industry, and you are a believer of human plus technology combination, sir. So, I want to ask you, what impact are you seeing of the transition from Industry 4.0, which was mainly emphasized, which
mm,
emphasized on automation and connectivity, to now
right.
the Industry 5.0, which is more about collaboration between human
Mm.
and machines. So, sir, what impact are you seeing in the industries?
Right, Pratik. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it is also my pleasure to interact with people like you who specializes in the domain of technology. Whereas, yes, 2.5 decades of work in the HR domain, but I probably do not have that kind of depth in the technology part, but I'll probably try to correlate some of my experiences and also will jointly do a crystal ball gazing as to how things are going to evolve going forward.
Absolutely, sir. Sir,
So,
a lot of people tell us that we are data and AI experts, sir, tech experts. However, you bring the workforce, human potential or
no,
human.
I completely agree that I think this is the time when the IT and HR will have to work very closely. So, if you look at the way the landscape of technology adoption has evolved over a period of time, so initially we kind of never thought that Excel kind of product will be there.
Right,
So when we started working and Excel was just about getting in, the change it made was in terms of speed and accuracy.
absolutely.
So never before we would have imagined that so much of voluminous data can be captured, it can be stored, it can be manipulated, and it can be worked upon. So from that point in time till today, there is a significant change which has happened. So change in the sense, and which is kind of brought us to industry 5.0. So probably about 5 6 years ago we had things like robotic process automation. The cognitive intelligence products that were actually being used at that point in time was essentially to look at improving the efficiency of
Yes,
the
yeah,
worker.
right,
Okay, so till probably 2 years ago, till Chat GPT become the like catchword or the catchphrase, uh, artificial intelligence and machine learning, it was primarily limited to enhance the efficiency of the worker, the efficiency with which a large volume of work can be done by a given set of people. So the focus was never on effectiveness,
absolutely.
but I think with industry 4.0 and then we gradually moving towards 5.0, so the talk of the town is going to be effectiveness. And in this entire transition, what is going to happen, I think the technology part of it really well, is two models of working is emerging. So the models that are being actually discussed, with the IT people is what is called the factory pattern. So the
Hmm.
factory pattern is where you have AI agents completing a task end to end,
Right.
right? And then you have the artisan pattern. So artisan pattern is where part of the job is being done by an AI agent or a cognitive intelligent agent, and part of the job is being done by a human being. So I think this is where the biggest challenge will be for the HR professional. So, how do we look at the workflows, the work process? How deeply we can deconstruct the workflow becomes very important.
Very good.
How deeply we can break it down to such blocks where we very categorically clearly identify, okay, this is one piece of the work that can be assigned to an artificial agent, AI agent, and this is what has to be done by the human agent. So one very simple way of looking at it is what I was actually reading, not that I have experimented, is tasks which are non-deterministic in nature, which has a large potential of solutioning, which is not binary in nature,
Hmm.
right? So it's not that it's deterministic in nature, that it's a go or no go. Like you fitting in an automobile, maybe an engine. So while you're fitting in an automobile engine, there are measures that it either goes in or it does not goes. So if it is a no go, so it's a reject, and if it is a go, it's a fit. So that is where I think most of these factory pattern of artificial intelligence and technology usage will be deeply deployed. So tasks, as we understand till yesterday, tasks which we are saying are routine in nature, tasks which are voluminous in nature, is something that will migrate to the cognitive intelligence agent or AI agent, is what we usually say. But to bring in the cobos, as they say,
Hmm.
the cobots is while we look at a collaborative approach of having an artificial intelligent agent and a human agent working together. So the impact that it will have on the entire HR framework, HR process framework, is going to be significant. Why? If you look at how a task or how an individual's performance is measured, it is measured in a manner that what is your effort and what is your output,
Absolutely.
right? So what is your effort and what is your output? Simplistically put, is it's a simple equation that I spent 10 days walking the market, and this is the lead I have generated, this is the volume that I have sold, of which this is the premium segment, this is the base segment, and this is probably the average segment. Now this segmentation, understanding and selling it, or reaching to the right kind of customer, uh, can be pre-fed basis your machine learning or your NLP programmings that happens. So it can do a huge amount of modeling and tell you that if you walk the Park Street Road, you will probably be able to reach out to 5% of the high net worth individuals in Calcutta. But if you walk the Baravazar Road, you will probably be able to meet 10% of HNIs of Calcutta, right? So that kind of modeling, detailing is something that is currently possible.
Sir,
And
sir,
with that equation,
yeah.
that the input goes into the individual who is out to perform a task in collaboration with an artificial intelligent agent. So the question that will get asked is, who has completed the task,
Hmm.
right?
Mhm.
How much of aid has he deployed to achieve his results?
But
Okay.
does that matter, sir, as long as the organization is getting the results out? Does that matter who has completed
No,
the task?
so this is where I want to bring in a perspective.
Hmm.
I'll tell you an anecdote. This
Sure.
anecdote actually dates back to my first job
Okay.
while I used to work with a tractor manufacturing company, and we were entering into a collaboration with a company from Finland called Valtra. So we'd got experts from Valtra looking at our assembly lines and experts who came in, and he looked at the tag which was getting embedded into the engine, which was carrying a batch number and maybe some other details, the capacity, the chassis number, and so on and so forth. So he asked, "What is the name of the individual who assembled this entire machine?"
Hmm.
So we said, no, it's not there. It's not required. By the batch, we will know. We will trace it back. Which batch, which shift, which person was there. Then he was surprised. Bolta, will the individual have ownership to this
Towards
task?
the team. Yeah.
He will never have an ownership towards this task. And if something goes right or something goes wrong, so he will be struggling to find out which man, which shift, which day from that batch number you might have lost your data, and so on and so forth. But yes, that was true because Finland, being a small country, they were assembling less number of engines than what we were actually planning. But the moot point from the HR point of view
Hmm.
is to understand
Who gets the KPI?
that
I mean, whose KPI is
who
fulfilled?
not who owns the task.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
KPI, yes, KPI is something that we all strive to achieve, but who owns the task? Now,
Very
if
good point, sir.
again bringing back some kind of organizational behaviors understanding, so there was this element of alienation which was happening at the workplace
Hmm.
when so many organizational behavior model actually emerged, and with the division of labor, with large scale manufacturing, with line production. So your industrial psychologists and experts in the field of management realized that people are actually getting alienated from the task, and when
Hmm.
you get alienated from the task, what goes wrong? So there is
Quality.
frustration, there is depression, there is absenteeism, and so on and so forth. So all the hazards of occupational dysfunction actually starts emerging. Now
Correct.
the HR professional who will be working closely with people like you in terms of deconstructing, reconstructing, and uh, building the artisan model.
Right.
Artisan model, as I say, is a human agent and an AI agent
Yeah,
working
agent.
together,
Yeah.
which is primarily your industry 5.0 is what it is all about. So
Absolutely.
in this model, uh, while it will be good that yes, we have invested a lot of money on automation, we have invested a lot of money on modeling through machine learning, and we've got big data for people to analyze and work, but will it in any manner lead to an alienation from the task is what will be very critical for the
Very good point.
HR professionals to understand. Who
Very,
owns
very
the
good point.
task?
Hmm.
So unless I own the task, I probably do not enjoy doing it. So this alienation, then avoidance, then all this variety of human nature will emerge. So this is where the trick will be, and the challenge will be for the HR people to kind of look at how do we keep this thing going without impacting the human in the human psyche as a whole.
Very good.
So,
So,
do you like to work with a Kobo? I
uh,
might not like, but some people might like working with a Kobo.
right, right. So, but I mean, it's a very good point, very, very valid point that you brought in here that who ultimately gets the credit. And if the
Mhm.
human is not getting the credit, then who's the owner? And we have
Right.
probably not reached to that level that, I mean, the ownership, which is actually not very deterministic, right? I mean, it's not very binary. That should ideally lie with the human being only.
Yeah.
But if the human being does not get the right credit, even if
Mm.
the human beings cobot is doing, which is the friendly
Yeah,
robot
yeah, yeah.
probably deployed with a human being is doing the task, then the who owns the ownership? It's a very good point, sir. And so I want to also understand about about this, sir. It's also a transition, right, for you guys, for the HR practitioners, that when
Hmm.
you are going to acquire talent, or when you are talking about sustaining the talent as well,
Right.
how do you, I mean, this technology, this AI agents which are working with humans. So how do you change such behaviors? That I was an individual, I was working, I was
Hmm.
the operator of the machine. Now the machine is
Right.
operating with me. How do you change? How do you see reshaping of HR practices here?
Yeah, that's a very I think a crucial thing that the HR professionals will have to kind of deep dive and unearth or unravel. So again, I'll begin with a very small example. So today, my kids, when they order food, they think that the Android phone or the iPhone is actually what is helping them get that job done. But when the guy comes and delivers the food, he leaves with a message, "Sir, rating ta bhalo deben," isn't it?
Absolutely.
So that element of human expectation, aspiration will still be there
Hmm.
unless we migrate entire task to the factory mode, which is all AI enabled, AI agents working. So while we are testing the individual's fit into the organization, while we interview, what we look at it are basically the psychological construct, whether the personality is right, which meets our culture, whether his style is good, whether he has certain kind of orientation, be it an achievement orientation, be it a team working orientation, be it a good business acumen. So there are an entire set of traits that we kind of test it out. But yes, there's a huge amount of development which has happened in this domain. Earlier, the models were probably not tested on a real time.
Hmm.
All your psychometric tools, if you look at it, they were probably tested somewhere in USA or in the Europe,
Hmm.
and then getting tested or getting deployed in our country. But here, once we redefine the requirements, your ML, your like the models
Right, right.
which you will define for us, which I basically say is the cognitive intelligence agent model. So
Absolutely. I mean, I think
so the models will get better and better,
right.
will get better and better. But yes, we might have to look at uh, a psychological construct of the employee who is happy to work with the cobot. So
Absolutely.
what can be those traits? So that is something I think much work would have happened, but I'm probably not conversant with that.
Hmm.
Uh, like one more example, we have people in many offices and essentially in the accounts function who will work on a excel but will still type it on a calculator to check the accuracy,
Right.
isn't it?
Absolutely right, sir.
आपने लेजर, आपने सैप टैली सब बना के रखा है, फिर भी आपने जो है आपका खाता सिंगल
Absolutely.
एंट्री बुक कीपिंग आप रखोगे.
Absolutely.
So, how are we going to
Change the behavior.
get people out of that mindset and give them confidence that yes, this is something which which is not devoid of like it's not prone to errors or mistakes, so that you will have to double check, triple check. एक्सेल का बना के फिर कैलकुलेटर में चेक करने का जरूरत ही नहीं है. तो वो
Absolutely right.
उस तरह का माइंडसेट का आदमी विल हैव टू प्रोबब्ली फाइंड.
Absolutely.
तो
No, actually, your point is very valid, sir. There is I mean, because in IV Pro School, sir, I mean, we work with enterprises like you, and we train, upskill, and we assess
हम्म,
internal employees on the capability to learn
Right.
data, tech, and AI tools, right? And what we have seen, sir, there are two types of audiences that we end up getting in enterprises. One set of audiences, they believe what they've been doing for years is the
Hmm.
best way to do it. And there is a
Right.
second set of audiences, they say that I've been doing it, I've been pretty good at it, but I've been taking, let's say, 8 hours to do this task. With
Hmm.
their question is, can the new tech or the AI help me do the same task in lesser time? That's if the conversation starts with that, when we
Hmm.
actually do AI assessment, I mean, we have an AI assessment engine as well, where we help companies like yours, sir, hire the right kind of talent
Hmm.
with the ability to learn. So there
Right.
is, in our psychometric test, we always have
Hmm.
this set of questions which test what is the response that people give to such questions, and there is a higher rating which shows that ability to adapt, technology. So that is
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of the very critical things, sir, that you also
No,
spoke about.
although whatever I said is on the extreme spectrum of
Of course,
like collaboration or avoidance. But yes, today's young generation, Gen Z or whatever Gen
Gen
they
Alpha and
are,
whatnot. Yeah,
so they have adapted very well to technology, right? And they know that technology is going to they will be able to ride on this technology.
absolutely right.
And for organizations to understand that whether I'm doing it for enhancing my efficiency or I'm doing it to enhance my effectiveness becomes very critical,
Absolutely.
right? So we have tools like you have RPS,
Yeah,
which automates, speeds up, and increases the efficiency of, let's say, an accounts payable process or
right,
employee CV sorting process.
right,
But whether that then becomes an input to your cost optimization or your ordering or your, let's say, your working capital management, for us to
right.
understand it simplistically, so that is where the effectiveness will come. Now I do, if I use an AI agent and then get my CV sorted, so will it be also able to tell me in future that you should look at this part of the country to get or source your CVs, which is
Yes,
today. I know it is possible, not that it is not possible. Probably many organizations who are doing large volume hiring would have by this time figured that out and deployed it. As we speak, Unilever globally, they have reduced their university relationship people who were doing the hiring, and it's all automated,
right.
right? So it's like Digi Yatra today,
Yeah, absolutely.
isn't it? So the day Digi Yatra eliminates the security check, which is a physical frisking,
Right, right,
and like enhances the like robustness of a security check through MI enabled, ML enabled method or a model. I think Digiyatra accomplishes.
absolutely right. And
So
it brings efficiency. It also brings, I mean,
effectiveness.
yeah, and look at this. It's a very fun. It's a phenomenal example of so technology and human beings working together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? The CISF force which is there, they're always overburdened. The airport
Mm,
staff is also overburdened, and the human experience of the travelers also increases significantly with an
mm,
app like DigiYatra.
right.
So, a very good example, sir. Sir, one more question I wanted to ask you, sir, because you are from a traditional industry, right? You are from cement
Mm-hmm.
industry, which is considered to be one of the oldest industries in the world. There are people who have been in your industry, right? I mean, you hire experienced folks as well, right? So
Mm,
there must be a lot of people who are pretty new to the world of cognitive intelligence, to very new to the smart intelligence, in smart intelligent tools and
mm,
cobots and whatnot. So, sir, what kind
right.
of upskilling programs or engagements that you have internally to kind of upskill these folks?
Mm,
I'm not talking about Gen
yeah,
Alpha,
yeah,
the Gen Z people, because they
right.
come, with these knowledge, they come inherently. But for the
Mm,
experienced folks, what kind of upskilling?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we trying to do is definitely get that fear out of people's mind. So mostly any kind of automation that comes in or whatever organizations bring in, so all the time there is a fear at the back of the mind ki will the human job be eliminated
Sure.
or this human role is eliminated. So that is something is the starting point, that it's going to be of help to you and it's not going to kind of there is no risk of your losing your job, or that automation is not going to take away your job. In fact, it's going to be your friend, so for you to perform better. So that is the starting point of the conversation. So yes, I
Yeah,
know
no.
that we still not have embedded it across majority of the functions, but slowly we are inching up towards that. Big data modeling is happening in our sales and marketing domain. IT is also helping us in the manufacturing domain to embed AI tools to have real time monitoring, and how they can look at predictive maintenance, how can they kind of work out on the consumption pattern of plant and machinery, the wear and tear history of the machineries, and how it can be of help. So the first idea is to please have them and get this fear psychosis out of people's mind,
Good point.
that this is not going to replace human beings. Uh, but
No, no, very valid point, sir.
with
Actually,
with with a slow embedment of these processes, people also get used to it. Second is build a little bit of excitement around it.
absolutely right, sir. This
Now,
point actually I wanted to say that this excitement point. We are
uh,
working with so many steel, cement manufacturing
yeah, yeah.
industries where when they say that we want to introduce the world of AI, Gen AI to our people, the first thing
Hmm.
we do is whenever we go there, we say that before we start any engagement, let us give us these audience for like 4 hours. We will show them visual things of how AI
Hmm.
models are changing the kind of work
Right,
that they do, which is, for example, you bring the sponge iron pellets and then it can do the quality defect analysis visually and within a few seconds and with
right.
great amount of accuracy and it's shown visually. So then it creates a level of excitement. And once that
Absolutely.
happens, then they're willing to learn the rest of the things that,
Hmm.
brings in the world of data and AI actually. So very,
So,
very important point.
well, the elementary question of what is in it for me.
Absolutely right,
So
sir.
unless we are able to address that and bring in an element of excitement and kind of let people explore the utility of those kind of tools, so till the time it is not going to be possible. Yes, I think in cement industry, in my previous company, there's some amount of large scale automation which is deployed and which is going to be a very normal process. So
Hmm.
robotic process, robotic arms basically, who eliminates a lot of these manual tasks in the quality control function. Then there are a lot of these mine your reserve sensory imaging which happens, so which is unlike what used to be in the past, when mining surveyor will have to go with a theodolite and then lay out a map in front of him and estimate the reserve. So a lot of automation over the period of time has happened. People, some people have adapted it, some people are riding on it, some are very conversant, some, yes, some still are skeptical that इसमें मेरे को क्या फायदा है. और
But what
ये,
about the leaders?
but the other side of it is there is an apprehension about the security.
Ah, that is a very
Now, so that is the risk, or I think that is what most of the leaders are today carrying, that is it going to make my system vulnerable, am I exposing myself to a larger unknown world. So that is what is probably keeping many of the industries back, because if you look at a global survey also, today most of these companies, only 30% of them have looked at AI as a AI/ML or a cognitive intelligence tool as a support. So mostly we are today apprehensive, and every day we read about some kind of innovative breach which is happening, and then that also prevents us. So both
Yeah,
the sides there is an apprehension.
cybersecurity is a very key
Yeah, yeah,
concept,
yeah.
because when everything is connected
Right.
to the technology world,
Mm.
so then your systems have to
Yes.
be extremely secure as
And yes, one more element is uh, every business for that matter is looking at having a unique competitive advantage.
absolutely.
Right. So will I be losing my proprietary advantage by exposing myself,
Hmm.
or will I become a guinea pig and then it becomes very easy for everyone to replicate? So those things might be at the back of
So,
everyone's
sir, it's a
minds.
very good point that you brought in that, will I become a guinea pig here? Do you see change in the leadership behaviors, the top management leadership behavior with all these technologies available under 5.0 and the philosophies of
Mm,
5.0,
mm.
industry 5.0? Do you see any leadership behavior changes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, the risk taking ability has to go up.
Okay.
So yes, leaders are essentially risk takers, but it's a risk that they take. Okay, it's more of a financial gain that they look at. If I take this risk, I'll probably stand to gain so much of money. So the
Hmm.
other side of risk is what is that I'm going to lose if I get into this. So are we risk averse in the technology space? And I think most importantly, what has happened, I think Pratik, you have worked abroad, so you know it. There is a huge bombardment of change coming to us every day,
Right.
isn't it? So
Right.
by the time you figure out as to which one suits me, there's something else which has come.
Absolutely right.
And every day you open, every not every day, every week you open tech times in Times of India, you will be like, everyone will be surprised to see the extent of the spread of automation that is happening
Absolutely.
now. Some people might be apprehensive, यार थोड़ा दिन और रुक जाते कुछ और अच्छा आ जाएगा,
Hmm.
थोड़ा दिन और रुक जाते कुछ अच्छा और आ जाएगा, कुछ easier और आ जाएगा. So some might miss the bus because of that.
Right.
So that leadership skill, as you are asking me, is whether I'm ready to kind of jump the gun. तो क्या मैं पहले
Good, good.
शहीद होना चाहूंगा? तो
But
ये
sir,
सारा.
actually, yeah, I mean, organizations like you, right, which believe in growing, which believe
Hmm.
in growth, we have seen, sir, the leaders ask us very pointed question. We want to bring more efficiency. We want to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See, earlier we used to work with very large companies only, ITCs and Tatas of the world. But now we are working with mid-size, high-growth companies like yours, sir, which
Hmm.
are willing to, we have seen the leaders are willing to take that jump. And, especially the younger generation joining as well, the
Very
leadership.
right.
That is also is a change that we are seeing.
Hmm.
So,
So
sir,
while we were talking about the leadership style, so we were not actually giving a particular example, but this is a
uh,
generalistic observation which I made. So it may be the low rate of adoption might be because of this, that
absolutely.
there is an apprehension, the risk, people may be risk averse, or people might not be, they may be say waiting and watching कि यार थोड़े दिन और रुक जाते हैं, थोड़े दिन और रुक जाते हैं, because I still remember when your mails came in.
Hmm.
Mid 90s is when it actually kind of spread across the country. So there are many companies who adapted fast. So we were off the block in my first company way back in 96.
Wow.
And there are there are companies who had by 99 2000 was looking at bringing in
Yes.
emails. So that is always there. So that leadership thing has to come in, that
Right.
let me ride the wave and go to the trough rather than or go to the crest, not ride it when it is kind of falling.
Downwards.
So yes, Sarah, yes, there's a
Right,
definitely
right. So, but you know what we are
setting at
seeing
this.
in our experience with working with the leaders, we are seeing that now the leaders, even the senior most leaders, they are extremely adaptive. They want
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
AI, I mean, all
I
these
think
new
they
is
are all
there.
very conversant. They are aware of it. They want to take advantage of it. Yes, as I said that some of them might be holding it back only for the fear of security and fear of probably at times losing that competitive edge.
But
So
sir, there is as you very rightly said, sir, there are opportunities for early adopters as well, right? You said,
mm,
every company wants to have a USP, right, or unique proposition.
right.
Data, AI, these
Mm,
Industry 5.0 techs, they provide that platform to remain ahead of the curve. So
mm,
that is also there, since change is constant, right? And so we've seen organizations also adapting the change very well. So last couple of questions are here. Because 5.0, Industry 5.0 also has a very strong fundamental focus on sustainability and green, uh,
right.
green energy and green technology. What do you see? What is happening there in the manufacturing space specifically?
In the cement space, yes, there is huge amount of work going on, and not that we are waking up now. Probably the cement sustainability group was formed a long time
Okay.
back in our country, and yes, there were probably uh, alternatives were not there, but now that alternatives are emerging, we are all into that. So alternatives is when are we? How are we going to go green? Is by eliminating your polluting vehicles. So we
Right.
use a lot of these vehicles to transport our ore to the plant and so on and so forth, our finished product to the market. So we are deeply into that. We are kind of looking at how do we eliminate polluting vehicles. Second and most important, what many industry might not be aware of, that cement industry also acts as the incinerator
Mhm.
all the industrial waste or majority of the industrial waste. So what goes out as waste of fertilizer industry is burnt in our plant to get rid of that industrial waste which might pile up. And third and most important is the product stewardship, I think, which is again one area that cement companies are today working on. So
Okay.
your green electricity is something that all of us are invested. Your green vehicle is where all of us are invested. Your alternate fuel in place of coal, which is burnt in our kiln, is something that we all are spending a lot of money towards building that alternative fuel feeding systems. So it's we probably know that cement is definitely an activity. Manufacturing cement is an activity
Mhm.
which will always have an element of biological degradation because
Absolutely.
we are mining. So,
Absolutely, sir.
and how do we compensate that? Is by bringing in all those factors which kind of reduces the impact of mining.
Absolutely, sir.
So
Sir,
that's always there.
yeah, very, very, very valid point, sir. In sustainability, I'm also happy to see that, there are so many specific things which are happening,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
specifically in the world of cement industries. So very, very nice to hear that, sir. One last question, sir, to you. What advice would you give to aspiring leaders, and what do you think? what would be the future? Maybe short term, mid term, long term, if you could probably just give a few thoughts around it
Yeah,
because of 5.0
I
technology.
don't think I have reached that level where I can kind of give you any
Sir, you
advice on
have
leadership.
you have
I
huge
have,
experience base,
I
sir.
cannot, I'm not an evangelist or this thing, but what I can tell everyone in the room or whoever has logged in from wherever you have. So the first thing is you'll have to keep yourself well abreast of the changes, what is happening. At least being aware of it helps. I might not be an expert in artificial intelligence, which Pratik you are, and my younger brother is also an expert
Very
in
good.
that.
Very
So I cannot be an expert in that, but I have to be aware.
absolutely right.
So that awareness, that curiosity, as we say, that curiosity has to be there
Right.
unless you want to know. So for the from the time Jane has been telling me to do this event, so I would have bought about 3 books
Yeah.
trying to read and understand.
Very
But
good.
the very interesting things that I actually read all about,
Absolutely.
and this model I was really not aware about the factory pattern and the artisan pattern, which
Uh,
today if you sit back and visualize, yes, this is how
right.
it's going to look like,
Absolutely right.
isn't it? So one need to be curious uh, and ready to test out certain things. Today, also my colleagues and we sit together. We look at AI Dectopus and we look at
Uh,
Beautiful.ai, and we try the free things so that yes, we are aware as to what is happening.
very good.
So that is what I would say. I would suggest, and all of us, I believe, are doing it. We are adapting to technology. Technology is changing faster than it was earlier, and people are also adapting to technology. And probably in another 50 years' time, people will have all thumbs,
Yeah,
so they
you
can
never know.
kind
I
of
mean, you probably will
type
just think.
faster.
Yeah, you probably will just think and things will happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Very good, sir. Excellent, sir. Mr. Banerjee, I must thank you for taking the time out today and sharing your wisdom. And I also must thank you for doing the research as well. I mean, that also
So,
requires.
Pratik, I must thank you for giving me this opportunity. I was thinking that, yes, let me talk to Pratik and understand as to what is happening, because we are seeing industry from a very, uh, what shall I say, from a tunnel vision that I'm working in this place and this is what it is good for me. But you bring in a multi industry perspective. So you can tell us, okay, this is what is happening in steel. So why don't you adapt?
Absolutely,
If
sir.
it is happening in steel or aluminum, or for that matter, this is what is happening in HR domain
Yeah,
with other industries. So why don't you also try it out? So that brings in uh, like a lot of insight.
right, sir. But everything, sir, starts with curiosity, sir. Very
Yeah,
rightly you
yeah,
said, right? Before you become aware, you got to
yeah.
be
Hmm.
curious. So I always recommend all my clients and whoever I meet with, but that you have to be curious. If you're curious, you'll find
Right.
ways to learn it. So
Sure,
very
sure.
rightly you said, sir, curiosity, then awareness, then you become an expert on something, right? And
Hmm.
so that in itself is the most important thing that you have to remain curious,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
So, sir, thanks a lot, Mr. Banerjee, and it was an honor to have you, sir, in today's
Thank you. Thank you
session.
so much,
Thank you.
Pratik.
Thank you.
And I think I must also thank your team member,
Thank you, sir.
Jane, who has been so persistent in following up and fixing it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank
Anyone
you, everyone.
from the group has any question, we can also try to respond in another
Yeah, actually.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Any
we
questions,
can.
anybody, any questions that any of the folks who have joined in, any questions that you may have? There are a lot of people on Zoom. There are
Yeah,
people online live as well. Otherwise,
Mr. Sahu, I can only see one name. There is Dibendu. I
yeah.
can see, I think about 10
Yes,
participants, not
Deepan.
much.
Yeah, Deepan Sahu, will take your question, please. Go ahead and ask your question.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Thank you for being here and giving us this valuable insights. Sir, as you have said that being an HR, you will be seeing that the people should be oriented toward and be comfortable toward working with the cobots. Sir,
Hmm.
I being from the Gen Z and being a fresher right now, I'm an active student in Ivy only. So, sir,
Hmm.
I wanted to ask from you that we are in this generation where we are working with all these facilities and we have this mindset.
Hmm.
Now we are learning and still we are just trying to get a place and position.
Right.
We are struggling and making doing our hustles. But sir, when we used to be in our school times and academics, the things were different. We used
Hmm.
to follow the basic rules and try to build our foundations. So, from
Right.
your point of view, what should be the approach? Whether it is from the school point of view or the university point of view, or being an individual parent, like how should we approach toward the upbringing of the recent generation, that is the alpha,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
make them that capable, that they need to be that oriented and that capable, that they have to every time think of working with the bots and other assistants. And
Right.
how should we prepare them, or put that thing in their mind that they need to be this much to the height level, so they
Hmm.
will be able to get a position in the employable aspects. I mean,
No,
what
so
will be the
that's
heights?
that's a very long and a deep question, Dipan. I must say that this is really a very insightful thing that we all have to today start thinking about. One, say, uh, how is our education system today equipped? Okay, so I was just reading again something on AI revolution. So the way the Chinese education system has been restructured and reorganized in terms of the way it is being delivered, the way it is being structured, and so on and so forth. So they are probably building a generation of people who are natural adapters to it. Whereas in our case, it so happens that it is being forced on us when we start working, that yes, this is something we'll have to adapt, right? So this structural change has to happen. And secondly, if you look at the way our education system is configured, I'm not talking about the top notch colleges where it is like already available or they are using it, but across the hierarchy or across the pyramid of your population. So, are people being educated? I doubt. Like the Aadhaar, if you take the Aadhaar card for example, everyone carries a Aadhaar card, but how many people actually knows the amount of background IT integration that is going on every time you go and swipe your card, isn't it? So unless the government kind of reconfigures the education system in a manner that it becomes a part of students learning from the school, then it becomes easier for everyone to adapt. And then as parents, you might not have to teach them anymore. They will already be carrying that information that yes, going ahead, this is how we are supposed to operate, this is what we are supposed to adapt, and this is what we will be getting in our workplace. So I think that's very critical.
Yeah, sir. And just to add to that, sir, actually, with the help of AI, so what has happened is education is becoming simpler and more effective
Right.
as well. And I mean, Dipan is one of our learners, of course. There are many thousands of learners that we have, and
Mhm.
they are taking our courses on data and AI just because they want to be in front of the technology curve, right? And there is no harm because you see, there is always going to be a change that would happen in the world of AI
Mhm.
technology, and for any government to become very, very nimble is also very difficult. Education system cannot be extremely nimble. So that is why, there'll always be a professional education system,
No,
tertiary
that
education.
I agree. That I agree that the cutting edge is to be provided by you. or institutes like you, but the fundamental are to be like embedded into
The
our education
foundation, of
system.
course, of course, of course.
You cannot afford to get people from the ITIs who will then require another 3 years of training to work in robotic arm machines and waste your time. So the speed at which the industry is going to adapt has to have a commensurate speed with the education system of our country. I'm not saying about the top notch ones, I'm talking about starting from the village primary school and upwards. I think this is what China has done. So the Chinese case study on technology advancement is something that we should learn from.
Very good, sir. Okay, sir. Thanks a lot,
Right.
everybody. And
Thank you. Thank
Mr.
you. Thank
Banerjee.
you so much,
Thank you,
everyone.
sir. It was very nice and honor to have you, sir. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pratik.
Thank you.